All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is an interview that we have waited 3 years for. And a guest that probably knows me better than most of the roster that has appeared on the program so far. It is my honor and privilege to present to you professional basketball player Joey Brunk. What's up, brother? Welcome to the program.
How we doing, my man?
It's good, man. I'm feeling great having you on the show. Are you eating well? That's my first question for you. I want to start out the show like Howard Stern. Let me look at you and see you look healthy. That's good to know. It's like week 3 at this point, right? In
Yep,
Czech Republic.
yep. We're getting into week three, starting to get adjusted. A little bit about where you're going and how to get to the practice gym and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And we the gym and my apartment, neither one of them have air conditioning. So for those first like 10 days, it was like high 80s, low 90s, and it was just like you were sweating from the minute you woke up till you laid down. I don't know if I really ever stopped sweating.
Right.
But now it's like down like into the 60s. So I got my windows open all the time, just trying to let in as much fresh air as I can.
You got a proper and working air fryer too. That's important.
Well, I'm still waiting on that. I had a slight issue. I went to the store and I got like a little blender to make smoothies and a rice cooker and an air fryer. Two of the three worked. The air fryer was not functioning, so I had to return it, and I'm waiting for the new one to be sent in. So
Right.
2 out of 3. We're talking about baseball. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So hopefully you get that sent in sooner rather than later, and I'll be in business then.
I have to give you credit because it was scary for me to go to UIndy with family like 15 minutes away. With you living overseas, like how much of an adjustment is that to your psyche and body?
It's definitely a pretty big adjustment. I mean, you just kind of it's I think the thing that's hard that I have had to remind myself is uh it's literally like an overnight transition. It's not like you get really eased into it. It's like I wake up, I go to the airport, and then you fly, you travel all day, and
Uh-huh.
then you end up in your new city, and then it's like, all right, well, get settled in your apartment. You have practice in 2 hours, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, I'm not really sure where the gym is. My apartment is hotter than hell right now. I'm sweating, unpacking everything. I have no food. I don't know where I'm going. No one, I don't speak the language anyone speaks here. So it's just like you just get thrown into the deep end, and you're just like it's sink or swim. Um, but it is one of those where like after a week you feel considerably different than you do on day one, and
Uh-huh.
on by week 2 you're like, oh yeah, like I feel the adjustment level like starts to happen. It slows down. You're like, all right, this is manageable. Like I can figure this out. But those first couple of days you're just like, it just feels like you're just trying to keep your head above water with all the new stuff. And you want to play well in practice. You're trying to pick up all the new stuff. You're meeting people for the first time, and
Right.
it's just a lot of new stuff like all at once.
Well, and you and I both indulge in 90 Day Fiance, all the different spinoffs as well. Like I can remember seeing one of the stories where an old lady gets off the plane in India and her cell phone doesn't work. Like, is there any adjustment you have to make to ensure that you can reach someone back here, or is it? I didn't know if there was any delay in like stuff working.
Well, last year I didn't necessarily have my phone plan like all the way figured out. I was maybe just going to get a phone when I was in Poland, and through Verizon, like there's a way like you can get like an international package. So I just as soon as I like signed up for it the day before I left.
Okay.
Um, so now like I just use my phone works, and I still use my American number. But like I mean, even stuff like that, like if you lose service and you don't know where you're going, it's like how am I supposed to figure this out? Like I can't read the signs
Yeah.
on the road. Like I know how to get to my apartment, but like I'm not really sure what street necessarily this is on. Like so like it's like or like if you're going to dinner, it's like I can tell you where to turn on how to get there, but I'm using landmarks.
Yeah.
Like, hey, when you pass the big parking lot, that's when you turn right. You'll know which parking lot I'm talking about. Like, that's when you turn. You know what I mean? It's like stuff
Uh,
like that, not like you're on the south side. And it's like, hey, you turn right on Southport, then you go left here. It's like, no, like when you see the big parking lot, turn right.
Google Maps isn't even an option, really.
Yeah, no, I always stay on it because you never want you can't have your phone die when you're in the middle of trying to get anywhere. So you always got to make
Oh
sure your
man,
phone's charged up so you can have it plugged in.
you've always been a breakfast guy, right, Joey? Like that's your preferred meal of the day. What's an ideal breakfast for Joey?
Ideal breakfast. Well, if I'm at home, I definitely like when my mom makes a little biscuits and gravy and some scrambled eggs. But
Yeah,
when I'm here, I mean, I make a lot of eggs. I actually just went to the grocery store. I got like 2 dozen eggs and some oatmeal. So I just normally I eat oatmeal before practice, and then sometimes I'll make like a smoothie and eggs when I get back and have second
yeah.
breakfast post after the first practice.
Um, one of my favorite memories from growing up and staying all night at your house is the morning getting up and having pancakes. I mean, do you have a griddle where you could hook that up if you need to?
I don't have a griddle, but with my that might be a necessary purchase because it's like, hey, if you're here for 9 months, why not get a couple small
Yeah,
appliances like that and make your life a little bit easier. So
right. And I know you two prefer vanilla birthday cake, and God, Helen is the goat when it comes to making cakes. Um, what are some other meals that you miss that are her specialties?
there's definitely a couple. I miss her birthday cake. The biscuits and gravy is up there. I'm gonna have to try to figure out if I can make her chili. I love when she makes chili. Um,
Yeah.
so that's gonna be something I have to try and figure out. She makes great spaghetti sauce from scratch. So that probably I don't know if I'll be able to replicate that. But no, she definitely makes a lot of good stuff. So it's like those first couple days at home. It's
Right.
like, hey, can the biscuits and gravy be ready by the time we get back from the airport when I'm headed home? Like that's what I'm waiting on.
One thing that Chooch was awesome at, like he could punish a Sunday breakfast. What was something that Joe cooked that you loved?
Oh, um, my dad, he was good on the grill. Um, he loved grilling out. He could make salmon, steak.
Yeah.
That was kind of his. I think his strong suit was getting on the grill.
Yeah. Well, and you came home in time to see the Coney box. For those that haven't had to experience our race day party, how would you describe the Coney box to someone?
I mean that's like family history. That's just
That's the
pure
holy of
Americana.
holies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just Americana right there. I mean I mean that's at least two generations. I don't know. There might have
Yeah.
been a previous owner in there. But no, that's like a guarantee on race day that the Coney box is going to be up and going for the whole day. So it'll be interesting. I don't really know quite what the end of our season is going to look like, so I don't know if I'll be back or not in time by race day. But if I will, the hopefully I'll have a Coney or two when I get back.
Well, we were anointed with the duty of pouring beer into the contraption. And for those that don't know, it's like a self contained stainless steel thing that cooks hot dogs. And it's all right there. Like you don't need any separate containers. So it's a really nice self contained unit. Again, like it's one of a kind, right? Like there isn't a second one if it breaks.
Yeah, no, I think if anything ever happened to it, we'd probably all be SOL because I don't know where you'd find the Coney box, and I don't know if the Coney box is actually the proper term or if that's the family name. You know what I mean I don't know like if you just
Yeah.
Googled Coney box, I don't know if that's pulling up or not. It very well might. I have no idea. Uh, so
Well,
I guess that could be a crapshoot.
Aunt Tracy talked about the procession of the Coney box too, the movement from the item from your house to Marty's house when y'all were neighbors. But I was an only child, and having you as a cousin and kept me busy. One of the things we did was cousin camp, where I had five brothers and sisters under one roof, and that was a challenge for us. Uh, what are your memories of that?
That was always something that I think everybody looked forward to when school got out, and when we had a date picked out for it.
Yeah.
But no, that was just kind of like I don't know. I guess I just kind of like it was like childhood kind of wrapped up into a couple days of being around your cousins and swimming and watching movies and
Yeah.
um, you know making up games or whatever we ended up doing. It wasn't necessarily like there was always like the same from year to year. Why I mean I don't think it was ever like every it was always the exact same. It was like you're just making up making up something to do for everybody to stay entertained. But no, that was always a highlight growing up.
School of Rock had to be first on the rotation. I've had someone who was in that movie on the program before. Do you have a favorite line from that movie?
Oh, that's there's uh there's a lot. I think one of the the best ones is when he says he's hungover and they say, "Does that mean you're drunk?" And he goes, "No, it means I was drunk yesterday."
That's right.
um, so that's up there for probably one of my favorites. And there's so many good quotes from that that it's hard to narrow that down.
Well, Rivka, who played Katie, the bass player, tip it to the side, cello, you got a
Yep.
bass.
Yeah.
She talked to Freddie Jones, the drummer, and sometimes being a childhood actor doesn't always go well. I hope that he's well, but I mean, a lot of those former child stars are around and accessible. Like you can DM them on Instagram,
Right.
which is weird. But what I was thinking about what music do you like to listen to when you get a chance?
I'm definitely listen to a lot of like '70s music. I love the Eagles. I have an Eagles tattoo. I have a Jimmy Buffett tattoo from a long night in Hawaii. That was that's a pretty funny story. Um,
I feel
I
like
love James
Sharon.
Taylor. Yeah, we were my buddy and I had been on the beach all day, and he had like had some like little blender contraption, and we were making mixed drinks all day and down on the beach. And I had just got my first tattoo, and he was in the Air Force at the time, and he didn't have any tattoos, and he was like, "Man, I got to get a tattoo." I'm like, everybody else teases me for not having any, so we're like, "All right, like let's get one tonight." And he loves Jimmy Buffett. I love Jimmy Buffett, so we kind of hatched out over dinner that night. Hey, let's get a shark fin for Jimmy Buffett for fins to the left, the Jimmy Buffett reference, and we were getting ready to go shark cage diving the next day. So we go get the tattoo, and we wake up at like 7:30 the next morning because we got to get up early and get to the boat. And he like walks out the bathroom. And he goes, "Dude, did we get a tattoo last night?" I go, "Yeah, yeah, we did." He was like, "I just want to make sure I wasn't like misremembering what happened." I go, "No, that thing's on your leg. Like that's real." It's like whenever we see each other, it's just always one of those good laughs about it. I think it's probably a pretty fitting uh, Jimmy Buffett tattoo, I guess, if you could ever get one from being on the beach and saying, "Yeah, we let's go get a tattoo."
I'm surprised I didn't end up inked after our Vegas trip. I mean, I out of the trio of you, Johnny, and myself, I'm the Allen out of that three. You know, so should have probably ended up with something with that whole
Yeah,
thing.
no, I mean, I think the tattoo idea definitely. I mean, I think it might have got kicked around, but I think there just wasn't ever enough. The execution wasn't quite there. But we were having too much fun to leave whatever we were doing and to go get a tattoo. But maybe the next time we go out there, we'll all be getting on the plane with a new tattoo. You never know.
Well, and even though it's cool to have the drunken tats, do you have any suggestions to people that are thinking about getting one, like uh, tips and hints?
Um, I mean, I have a lot of buddies that have considerably more tattoos than me that are probably more the expert. But I don't know. I think obviously you don't just want to go in there and you know for your first tattoo just get something random. But I think also sometimes I was kind of agonizing over it, like oh I don't know, like is this going to be a good idea, bad idea, blah blah blah. But I know you just find something that fits your personality and
Yeah.
I think as long as it's something that's like pretty genuine to you and your personality and how you feel, you're not really ever going to end up regretting it. And worst case, you just get it in some place where you're going to have a article of clothing over it majority of the time, and nobody's ever going to know the difference.
Um, Something that you and I like to do when we go out is sing karaoke. You have a go-to karaoke song?
Um, that's a tough. I mean, it's hard to pick a good karaoke song because sometimes it depends on the crowd.
True.
Um, I've had a couple renditions of "Take It Easy." It's been on there. I've had a couple Jimmy Buffett songs. Um, Sometimes you play to the crowd, and maybe you go for a classic country song that everybody likes to sing along to. Um, I think the whole thing with karaoke is you just got to get up there and hey, I know I'm not very good, but we're here to have fun, and you're not going to be embarrassed or hey, like play it off like I know I'm not a good singer. I'm not trying to be a good singer, so it's like you get a couple buddies up there with you, and hey, who cares? Like we're not auditioning right now. We're just here to have fun and uh, sing along if you want.
that's
I
that's
do.
one thing.
I do like the ad libs though on karaoke where it's like at the end of the night like hey you guys are the best like this is why we love playing here like we're on tour like we're just finishing up our live album like you guys are the best crowd to play for we can't wait to come back so I don't know I think as long as you're having fun with you just again like pick a song that you like and be true to you and have some fun while you're doing it ain't that serious.
Good night, Indianapolis. We love you. That's what we're going
Exactly.
for. Um,
Exactly.
Also, I remember that moment too in high school. I forget how you were called onto the field at Lucas Oil, but you started dancing right in the middle of the field to put the vibe out. Man, it was awesome. That
Yeah,
was cool.
that was funny moment, but also probably not my maybe not my
No,
proudest
not
moment.
yeah.
But hey, it was fun and got some good laughs. So that's really I guess what matters. But
What?
hey, gotta be comfortable in your own skin.
Well, and there's been some jokes at my expense. Let's go ahead and tell the big brother, big sister Enzo's pizza story while we're at it. Huh?
Oh yeah, that's a pretty classic one. Um, we were getting a bite to eat. Um,
And at this
this
point,
is
you're a freshman at Butler. Or how old are you?
I was either a senior in high school or a freshman at Butler. I might have
Okay.
been a senior. I might have been a senior in high school.
And we're 3 years apart. I'm 3 years older. So I'm a freshman at UND, across the street at Enzo's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And we are in there, we order whatever. And I think you sat down and they put our food on the same tray so I could carry it over. And sweet older lady working behind the counter, she comes over and she goes, "Hey, I really I really appreciate what you're doing. This is really nice." I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm confused. I don't really know what she's getting at. She's like, oh, like see, like your, big brothers, big sisters program. You're taking them out to lunch. I'm like, oh no, that's just he's my cousin. Like we're close, we're buddies. So there's nothing there.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay, well. That's still really sweet of you for you guys to go out and get lunch. Like that's awesome that your guys' family is so close.
Yeah.
And that's kind of one of those you sit down and you're like, well, that was a interesting interaction.
Yeah, we are an odd couple. Like it takes us sitting down in chairs to see any kind of family resemblance. Um, yeah, man. You know what? I will say though, it's been a while since I've been at an actual radio station, but one of the proudest moments I got to do was cover one of your games at Butler and like talk about your highlights on the air. And that was awesome, man. Like That to me was one of my goals, was to talk about your game on the air. So it's cool to
No, it was
accomplish.
a good full circle moment for the both of us.
Um, what would you say, man? Because I remember some of those long nights of you working on your game. Like, what's been the most difficult thing that you've had to overcome?
Um, I mean, it's I think ultimately it's just that when you know when you have this passion for something and it just, the inevitable roadblocks that come up and certain things happen and you're just like, why you're just waiting for that opportunity for things to, finally come full circle and to be able to like to showcase that and to show that, hey, I've worked so hard for this. And um that for me is, definitely just been an ongoing part of my career. But I think at the same time that, the last, this being my, playing for 6 years in college, this being my second year professionally, like
Mm-hmm.
I know that things aren't always going to go according to plan, and that is, you know, that's all right. And I'm just going to figure it out as it happens. And um, you're grateful for the opportunities you have, and you just want to make the most of whatever's in front of you. Um, but no, I mean, I think the big thing is just you might have this mental plan of what you want to happen, what things are going to look like, and realistically, that's probably not how it's going to shake out.
Right.
And you're going to figure it out as it happens. And at the end of the day, it might not have worked out how you thought it was going to or how necessarily you wanted it to, but it still works out pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
You can't lose sight of that.
Well, I think at least this is my feelings of working in media. You know, you're preparing to eventually be professional at something, and then you get your contract. I mean, I know, having worked at 1430 for however long I did, to me, I can go, all right, I did that. Is
Right.
that part of playing now? Is It's a little bit of a relief, like, okay, I'm a pro now.
Yeah, no, it's definitely part of it where it's like, all right, I have this is a dream I've had. This is something that I've wanted to do for such a long time. And it's like, I'm in process of checking that off my list. And it's not, in the way of, oh, I'm, satisfied or I'm done, working hard or whatever, but you also have to have the recognition of saying, all right, like I've sacrificed a lot. I've worked really hard for this moment, and I want to, I want to be present, in these certain moments where it's like, hey, this is pretty neat. Like I'm getting paid to play basketball, and I get to live in a new country. And yeah, there's days it's overwhelming, and there's days where it's tough when
Sure.
you miss your family and you miss your buddies and you miss being at home. But um, in the big picture, it's like you've worked super hard. And it's like I was telling Avery Woodson, we were talking about this on the phone, and I actually just talked about it on his podcast earlier this week. It's like I compare it to, it's like I have went all in on my hand,
Mm.
and I'm sitting at the poker table and I'm all in, or maybe I'm not all in, but like, I don't have a whole lot. I got a lot of chips invested. Like, I mean, I have played this hand and I'm waiting for everybody to show their hand. And it's like, well, I can't fold now. Like I'm too far invested in this. Like what am I what does that mean for me to say, hey, I've, you know, got to this point. I can't throw in my cards now. Like
Mhm.
I might have a bad hand and I might lose, but I got to at least ride it out till the end. Like I can't see it the other way where it's like, I'm just going to throw it in now and never maybe know. It's like, no, you've wanted this for a long time and you've worked really hard for it. So it's like, why not at least see how it plays out?
Yeah.
Then you can have, feel good about whatever happens.
Yeah, no, I could echo the same sentiments, because you don't need a radio station to get your voice out there. And with this show, I wanted to document several interviews that I would do anyway if I had a show. So it's been cool to do this one at this point. But um, I'm trying to think, buddy, of other stuff. Oh, I thought of the NIL money that's coming through college sports now, and you were used in everything from commercials to tickets. I mean, I know you can't go back in time, but part of you probably thinks about all the money that could be made with where college sports is going now.
Oh yeah, I mean the with the direction everything has been heading and it is now at the NIL, like it's an incredible opportunity to make money. And I think for those kids and those athletes, it's like, hey, like this is a perfect time to embrace your personality. Like, who are you as a person? What interests you outside of basketball? Like, what are you into?
Hmm.
Um, and to be confident in that, because by showcasing your personality and what you're into, like that can open up so many doors. And even in my time, I mean, it opened up a lot of doors for me with some of the things that I've been interested in outside of basketball, where, oh, I didn't know you're interested in this. Like, so and so has a connection here. And then they, one of my professors introduces me to somebody, and it's like, oh, that was a great connection that I never would have had. But because you're comfortable and showcasing your personality with that stage you have, um, it can do a lot for you.
Well, and I can remember who was the voice of Madden? I think he still is at this point. I'm trying to think of his name. He was the broadcaster at Butler.
Right.
He referenced you and said Joey Brunk has a good head of lettuce, talking about your hair.
Hmm.
And that seems to be something that a lot of basketball players are concerned with. Do you have any styling suggestions in getting ready for a game, buddy?
Oh boy. I normally I don't know. I mean, I pretty much just I mean, I normally have been keeping my hair long for the last couple years, and I'll kind of just hit it with a little bit of hairspray before, because you don't it's harder to sweat out the hairspray and you hope it stays in place.
Hope
And
it holds, huh?
um yeah, I mean, it's just kind of my I don't know, I think it kind of it fits my personality. When you're flying in for a rebound or diving on the floor for a loose ball, and my hair is kind of going every direction. I think it's just kind of fitting. Um, but no, I started growing my hair out when I was a Butler, and I've kind of had long hair for at least the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. Is the Star is Born iteration of your character your favorite style?
Yeah, that was probably the longest my hair has actually ever been. That was like, I mean, when I got that haircut, it was like, holy crap! Like, I look like wildly different. I mean, that was some long hair uh that was a lot to handle. I had to use a lot of hairspray to keep that thing to keep that down before games and practices, because if not, that would have been just matted down straight on my forehead and my eyes with all the sweat.
The people don't appreciate it, man. A lot of hard work going into that. Getting
You
all the
gotta
angles right. Um,
exactly.
do you have a barber there? I mean, you've only been there 3 weeks, but I mean, you got to find all that stuff.
That'll be on my to-do list. One of my teammates, he was telling me, he said, hey, if you need to get your hair cut or get your beard trimmed or whatever, he was like, I have a guy here. So I might have to go there and get cleaned up at some point sometime soon. But yeah, again, that's just one of those like random things where it's like, hey, you're here for 9 months, so you're going to need to find somewhere that you can get your hair cut, or just stuff like that that you don't always think about when you're at home. But like
Yeah.
a small adjustment that it's like, oh, I probably need to get that figured out, and how to get there, and stuff like that.
Well, and you've been a international man of mystery, traveling around the world, visiting a lot of different places. Um, what's been your observations with Europe? I mean, we can go through the different places. You've been to England, France, Tanzania, and most recently Yellowstone, right? So
Yeah, no, I've been tearing it up the last couple months with travel. Um, but no, I mean, I think my big thing, just from traveling and having these experiences, is it's really an incredible thing to be able to do what I've been lucky enough to do it at my age. Because my brother and I, when we were in Tanzania, we were sitting um, on like the little front porch after dinner one night, and we're listening to music. And the people in your group are, some of the people are retired, some of the people have been working, in their respective field for 10, 15, 20 years. And
mhm.
it's like, hey, this is such an incredible thing that we're getting to do this as two brothers at 25 and 21, when some people get to do this once in a lifetime when they're,
Mm,
over 50 years old, or hey, when they're retired, this is something they've been wanting to do for a long time. And, um, stuff like that, getting to live over here and, spend a couple days, um, in Paris and a couple days in London, where it's like, again, like those are places that people dream of going to and want to go their whole life. And,
hmm
to be able to experience that is really neat. And, um, it's cliche, and but I think it's the truth of, those places are great, but the people you go with, make
mm,
it that much better. I mean,
yeah.
I was in Yellowstone with, two of my best friends that I was actually lucky enough to officiate their marriage, um, in May, Cooper and Mary, and, um, they moved out to Utah not that long ago, and Cooper and I have been talking about trying to go to Yellowstone for a long time, and, taking that, 4-hour road trip and driving through Jackson Hole with the two of them, and going to the national park and getting up at, 4 in the morning to get in the park early and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
there's just stories, and those are just, moments in time that it's great to experience what's going on, but it's better to share that with people you really love and care about, because it's like it makes those moments all that much better, where it's like, yeah, this is something that I'm gonna cherish for a really long time. Um,
Yeah. Where else do you want to go, buddy?
there's a long list. I really, I'd love to go down to get in the Amazon rainforest. That's a place I'd love to go. Um, it might be potential trip this summer. Need to try and figure some dates out in the next couple months for that. That'd be great. Um, there's a couple national parks, that Cooper and I have potentially talked about next summer. I mean, it's just, there's just so many, beautiful places. It's like, why not? If you have the opportunity to see it when you're young and can, like, why not? Those are moments that you know you can't ever, that are worth whatever the inconvenience for traveling is and what you're paying, because it's like those are things that you're gonna be so happy you did for the rest of your life.
One of the best trips I've ever taken was our recent trip to Vegas, which almost didn't happen. Should we tell when I forgot my ID at the airport? Yeah.
Yeah, that was a panic stricken moment for a minute, because Johnny and I, you got there early like a responsible traveler, and Johnny and I got through security with about 20 to 25 minutes before boarding. In our defense, it was a very early flight. It was like a 6:30 flight, and we're like, it's not going to be busy. It's a little busier than we expected, and, they're calling everybody to just, hey, we're getting ready to start boarding, and you're getting ready to get on the plane, and they're paging James Kennedy over the loudspeaker, and I'm going, at the that's not the gate speaker, that's the big speaker, and they're calling you to TSA, and you're already online. So Johnny and I were like, hey, let's just go try and figure it out and see if we can sort this out, and make this a little bit easier. And we're like, hey, like we're James's, cousins. Like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, like he left his ID at security. And we're like, oh, like he's actually already on the plane, so he can't get back off. Like, can we take it? Can we take it for him? And they're like, no, like we're technically not really allowed to do that. And, we were like, well, we're going to Las Vegas. Like, he's gonna have to have his ID to practically do anything and everything that we're gonna do for the next 3 days, like to get to the casino, to go to the pool cabana. Like, he has to have his ID. Like, this is gonna be really bad. And she's kind of sitting there, like trying to think of what possible solution. And I said, what street you named on, or what street you live on, and your middle name. I said, he's my cousin. Can I please have his ID? She goes, yeah, you can have his ID. And then it was like the biggest like power walk straight back the opposite direction to get on the gate. And Johnny is like laughing. He goes, give me his ID. I'm going to do something funny. And you're sitting like in the first row when we get on the plane, and Johnny are, a
Front
couple
row
rows
Joe.
back, and you hold your hand out and for your ID, and Johnny goes, you can have this when we get to Vegas. You have to earn getting to keep this.
Yeah, you get it back when we land. That's what he said.
So
Yeah,
that
crisis
that that
averted.
quick that quickly turned on the running joke of before we're going to dinner or anything. Hey, you got your ID, right?
Yeah, crisis averted. Because if I had to make the phone call to mom, yeah, I have tough. That would have been the
Yeah,
perfect conclusion to that one.
yeah, that would have been a big problem for us to have to figure out. But luckily enough, we had a great lady working at TSA who understood the importance of getting your ID back, and she took us for our word when we said that we were related, and we said the
My
magic words
God.
on what your middle name and street was, so it all worked out.
Um, and we did stay at Caesars, and we quote Hangover on a daily. How would you describe our Caesar experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a pretty great Vegas, Vegas
Yeah,
long weekend and trip. I mean, we pretty much, hit everything you could ask for. We were
just about.
playing blackjack and sitting at the pool, and it was, a pretty great, what, 3 days? We left Friday
That was
morning and
enough.
came back.
The 3 day limit, man. I don't know if I could do any more than that though. It was.
Yeah, no, that's kind of like right in the sweet spot because you get there, let's hit the ground running, and um, we'll catch up on some sleep when we get back. So
Yeah.
I think we did a good job.
Steve Aoki was the guy who was the big music performer that we saw. And do you mind if I share the moment that you fell at the club? And I was really scared, dude. That was the
Well,
worst. Oh
let me
God.
let me let me preface it and say, in my defense, it had nothing to do with drinking. It had something
It
to
did
do
not.
with a spilled drink that nobody had addressed, and
He was covering
I'll
for
let you.
me, the handicapped person, trying to prevent me from falling, by the way, too. He's a hero like that. So just want to say, yeah. I mean, that just as scary. It was like Entourage seeing Vince get in trouble. It's like, oh no, God, we can't have that happen. You know,
Yeah, no,
so
I popped up on my feet quick and immediately grabbed an attendant, and I was like, "Hey, man," I was like, "It's super dark in here, and this floor is incredibly slick. Like somebody's spilling everything. Like, can we get a mop? Can somebody dry this up?" Like, I was like, "My cousin's gonna fall and somebody's gonna get
break
hurt."
his
Like,
freaking neck.
yeah, I was like, I mean, holy crap! Like that could have been disastrous. No, that was a pretty embarrassing moment, but I felt like I had to address the entire room and be like,
Yeah.
"Hey guys, the floor was wet. That was why I tripped. It had nothing to do with anything. The floor was literally sopping wet."
Was there a
Um,
wet floor sign in the vicinity either?
no, there was one after I let the attendant know about the mishap.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, that is a memory that you might remember, but I will try and push out of my brain. Like I'll remember you leaving your ID, and you might try and repress that one. So
Yeah.
we'll have that both on each other.
An earlier memory too that was awesome. We went to a Notre Dame game when they played Michigan. They still do periodically. This was like when it was year in, year out. Manti Te'o is having the best season any linebackers ever had. What were your memories from that day, buddy?
That was a fun day. It was a fun game. That was a if I remember, I think it was a night. It was a late kickoff, so I think it turned into like being a pretty long day with driving up there, and we got home late. But no, I mean, going to like a college football game like that with, I think it was what, us, Johnny, Brian, and Ryan's dad and my dad. So I mean, that was just like
Yeah.
that was an awesome fall day to go up and watch a game like that. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, well, and there were a few things that happened. What the first funny thing that happened? This was during your recruiting period. We walk into I think you were checking out the basketball offices or something, and we walk into a gym, and as we open the doors, I hear this choir sing. You know, this like chanting thing, and it was because you're on Notre Dame's campus. I go to you, I say, Joey, do you hear that? And they're like, yeah, I do, buddy. It's pretty awesome. Like it was sort of like the heavens opening for a second
Right.
there.
Yeah,
Did
no,
you
it was like right on cue. As soon as the doors opened, you could hear everybody singing.
Mike Bray, no longer there. Did you ever get a chance to meet him? I didn't know
I
if you
uh, I
did.
met him. I met him a couple times when he would come down to Southport, and he had coached one of our assistants at Southport, so I got to know him a little bit through CT. But um,
Okay.
that was no, that was a pretty great day for all of us.
Another moment that I know cracks you up is at that event, you're pushing me in a wheelchair just to be more efficient. And again, we're surrounded by Michigan fans. And this really cute girl from Michigan, she's wearing a Michigan jacket. She sees me, not realizing that I'm a Notre Dame fan, and says, "Go blue." And I just go, "No." And you keep wheeling along. And we just keep walking like cheese, bro. I can't believe that happened. That
Yeah,
was
no,
unbelievable.
that was a really funny moment. But it was like we never broke stride. It was just kept on going.
And the whole Manti Te'o catfishing story, it would make more sense now. But at the time, that was a weird thing. The whole fake girlfriend.
Yeah, no, that was like a groundbreaking thing that like I don't think uh anybody really even like knew was like happening. You know, like now I feel like that's a you know somewhat like you hear about it and you're like, oh yeah, like that's not groundbreaking or anything, but that was kind of like probably one of the first big
Uh-huh.
national news stories of that happening, especially to somebody that had such an incredible career and season.
I think you've done a tremendous job with social media and managing your pages. Just as somebody who's dealt with plenty of that, do you have any advice for athletes on how for it to not be a distraction?
I think it just comes down to one, it's a great platform to showcase your personality, and you don't want to be vulgar or anything like that, but you just show that who you are, and at the same time, there's a lot of social media is just not real life, and you can't get sucked into all the good or the bad that comes with it. People want to sing your praises, or they want to tear you down, and with either one, it's like, all right, it's great that I'm happy that people care to follow me and hear what I say, but that's also just not it's just not real life. You can't hang your hat on people saying great things or not great things, because it's like you don't really know these people.
Right.
Um, so you can't get too wrapped up in it one way or the other, and let it affect your own headspace.
Here's the cliche question, brother. Life lessons learned from the game of basketball for you.
Um, I would say it's not always as much you get what you work for, but it's if you love something enough and you're committed to it, it doesn't always maybe necessarily work out on the first time or the second time, whether it's a game or whatever. But if you really love it and you can be committed to it, there's gonna be plenty of stuff that gets in your way, but it's never gonna be enough to get you to throw in the towel. So I just think it's a great lesson. And hey, if you're passionate about anything, about a career field or whatever it may be, that hey, stuff's not always going to happen. You're not, there's good breaks and there's bad breaks along the way, but if you really love it, you find a way to figure it out. That's applicable to everything in life, and especially as we get older, and stuff with family and everything. That hey, when if you care about stuff, you find a way to figure it out, and you make it work with whatever's going on.
And you're still in the midst of your career, but you've still accomplished a lot, man. What would you say is a moment that makes you the most proud looking back at what you've done?
Um, you know, Obviously, I'm proud of having getting my undergraduate at Butler and a master's at IU and the graduate certificate from Ohio State. The fact that I left all three universities with an academic achievement is meaningful to me and means something. But I think the thing that means the most to me is ultimately the relationships. I mean, I have so many people that I love and care about from each place that I talk to, you know, a couple times a week, if not daily, you know,
Yeah.
where it's you can't really put a price on that. It's stuff that um, you know, Cooper and I were teammates for 2 years at IU, and we've been best friends since. And his wife, his fiance then, but she calls me last year when I was in Poland and was like, "Hey, do you want to officiate our marriage, and do you want to be the one that does it and speaks in front of the crowd?" And I'm like,
Hmm.
one, am I your as like third or fourth option? Like why me? And it's like, are you sure? And she's like, no, like you're our first pick. Like we want you to do it. Um, and I'm like, well, I've never done this before. Is that going to be an issue? And they're like, no, like we love you and we believe in you. We trust you. Like you're going to do a good job. Like we'll work on it all together. And that's the kind of stuff that um,
Yeah.
you can't put a price on. Like being able to go to be a part of his wedding, or the teammates that you talk to on the phone, or that kind of stuff is the thing that you're proud about, because it's like, hey, I I left here with something that was much bigger than that was that's like the most important part of life is the relationships. Like I'm leaving here with people that I can count on, people that I'm going to be in their corner and they're going to be in mine for the remainder of our lives. So that's the thing that I think has been the greatest takeaway, is just all those friendships and stuff like that. That's just there's not a price on stuff like that.
What's the process for becoming ordained, buddy? I didn't even know that was. Yeah.
That was not very difficult.
Oh, I didn't.
She sent me the website, and I think I clicked like four boxes, and
Okay.
I paid $50, and they sent me my information, and I read like a 3-page packet that I probably didn't even really need to read, that didn't have a whole lot of groundbreaking information. Um,
Okay.
and then I like called her the next day, and I was like, "Hey, I signed up, but there wasn't a whole
Okay.
lot of information." And she was like, "Oh yeah, like I don't think there is. Like we'll just kind of figure it out." So I just kind of like started working on a couple rough drafts, and I'd send them to her, and then she'd edit them, and hey, can you add this? Can you take this out? And you know,
Yeah.
I had enough time on my hands last year with being in Poland between games and practices, where I could work on it a little bit. And
Yeah.
um, I thankfully had enough time to be able to rehearse that, get the best man speech um, down pretty well. So it all
Cool.
worked out. There was only got a little teary eyed at the start of both, but I kind of reeled it in, and got through it, and that was about it.
Power through. Hopefully I don't get teary eyed with what I'm about to say. But Joey, you're the coolest guy I know. There's nobody else, man. You're the guy. And my best moments have been shared with you. And I'll say something else. It's really cool to see all the work that you've put in, and to see you winning now. So thanks for being on my show, man, and sharing a lot of our memories. We got a lot more to still do down the line.
Yes, we do. I appreciate it, brother. I love being on here. We have a lot left ahead of us, a lot of good experiences left, and I am looking forward for what is for what's to come.
All right, folks, to hear this episode again, make your way over to linktree.com/JBK on air. You can also get the show anywhere that you get your podcast by searching JBK on air. And the link to donate and support the show is also right there. Until next time, have a great day and a better tomorrow.